Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today I had no intention of doing any sort of video. I am wrapping a lot of stuff up right now and really gearing up for tomorrow because of course it is Ubisoft 4, the really big day for all of the different Division games and properties, but we just got some word that there are some additional changes coming to the next update for the Division 2, TU16, and Season 10 after PTS Phase 2, and I took a look at these things that they've updated the known issues board with, and it is major. It affects every part of the game and really tackles the problems that people had with the new stuff that was coming after the PTS and specifically Phase 2, and I'm actually kind of astounded at some of the changes that we're getting here, so I couldn't go without letting you guys know about it because I think a lot of you are going to be very pleased and very satisfied with these changes. So without further ado, this isn't going to be super long. I just want to quickly highlight some of these things that we've got coming. Let's go over it. Alright, so the main things I've updated are over here in the fixed ready category, meaning that they are going to come into the game with TU16. The first thing, we already knew that they were doing this kind of increased exotic drop chance chart, but we now have actual numbers for where things are going to be the greatest, and so that's cool. You can see all the different stuff down here along here. The part that I'm very satisfied with is that out of this entire chart, they made the exotic drops the most prevalent in the Dark Zone, and I very much respect that. I have said for a long time that I think the Dark Zone needs a revitalization to make it that high-risk, high-reward, true endgame farming spot that it once was in the Division 1 and at one point even the Division 2. And while this doesn't fix that, because I still think it needs to go up to heroic difficulty, add some increased risk, and increase that reward, having the most exotics drop here out of anywhere else in the open world in the game is a very positive way to go, in my opinion. So I'm very satisfied to see that change happening. But it gets crazier. Trust me, it gets crazier. Then below this one, we have, I guess we'll save the one down there, which I'm most surprised by. We'll save that. But Picaro's holster. Now I'll say this. And I was completely fine. I was less opinionated about this holster than a lot of people were. I was fine with its implementation in Phase 1 and in Phase 2. In Phase 1, it was going to be, you couldn't roll 2 red attributes, so you couldn't get a ton of extra weapon damage. You could roll an armor or a skill tier, and you got that weapon damage. It was going to be great for hybrids. I thought it was going to be very kept in check because it's one piece. Brand bonus was less desirable for a lot of those builds that might try and roll that combination. And then in Phase 2, when they were going to make it just an extra bit of weapon damage, I was fine with that too. You know, other named items have that. I was still going to use it for a hybrid setup. Now is probably the only time that I'm not okay with it, because now what they've changed, I mean, it's great for people who wanted it to be buffed, but I now kind of question its impact it's going to have on the meta and the overall balance of the game. You can see right here, they say, following the PTS Phase 2 feedback, we removed 20% weapon damage perfect core attribute and 2 random rolls. Instead, Picaro's will now have a blue core attribute, which can be changed to a red or a yellow, and a perfect attribute of 15% weapon damage and 1 random attribute. The only reason I now have a problem with this is because you can roll a red onto it. I just don't think that that's going to create a very healthy environment, especially in PvP, because now it's just going to become the next Foxes and Contractors, where you run this, you get 35% extra weapon damage. And I don't think that's going to be great. I was fine with it before because at most you could get 20 plus a blue roll, and that would serve well for hybrids. You could use it in other pieces, but you'd lose out on the brand bonus. But now, how can you turn down 35% weapon damage on one piece of gear? You can run this, and then 5 blues everywhere else, and you're set. So I don't know. I have a bit of a problem with that. I think a lot of people will be satisfied and happy with this change, though, so I absolutely wanted to let you know about it, but I'll be very curious to hear your thoughts about it down below. And as you can see here, plan for TU16.1. They all say this, but I assume they mean TU16. I have no idea why these changes wouldn't make it into the main update. Either way, that's getting a change, and I think a lot of people are going to be happy with that. Then we have Striker, another one that a lot of people were questioning after PTS Phase 2. They made some big changes with how many stacks you could get, its damage, all that different stuff, and the conclusion was, it's strong, but it's not worth the investment you have to make into it to obtain that strength. Well, they've changed it now. So, after PTS Phase 2, they've changed it to now you still get 0.65% weapon damage per stack up to 100 times. 1 stack lost between 0 and 50, and 2 stacks lost between 51 and 100. Now, when you run the chest piece amplification talent, it increases the max stacks from 100 to 200, and only 3 stacks are lost per second between 101 and 200. Before, or in Phase 2, that was 5. But when you were between 151 and 200, you were losing 5, and then before that, it was 4. So they've drastically decreased the number of stacks you lose per second, and I think this is going to make strikers way more viable and way more competitive with the likes of Heartbreaker and other things in the game. I'm pretty happy with this change. I don't see it becoming so OP that it's, suddenly the only thing you can run, but I think this should make it much more viable, and overall, I'm happy with this, and I have a feeling a lot of you will be as well. All right, and then the final thing is perhaps what I'm most excited and surprised by, and that is that they have finally made movement on the shrapnel trap in PvP. Now, if you play PvP, I don't have to explain this. The shrapnel is so broken that it is laughable, and they've actually made a change. As a temporary solution, again, planned for TU16.1, which I assume is just TU16, the main update. As a temporary solution, we've decided to significantly reduce shrapnel trap efficiency in PvP in order to dissuade players from using it. And this is a ready fix that, again, is going into the update, or going into this very soon arriving update. This is phenomenal news. The shrapnel trap has dominated the DZ for people who just want an easy kill for, well over a year. Probably close to 2. And to see that it is finally going to be addressed in this manner, I'm just so happy. Hopefully they can eventually rework it and make it function like an actually sensible crowd control tool, but until that time, there's no reason to just leave it busted. It's great to just reduce it until they have a fix later down the road, and whenever that can happen, great. But until then, this should make the Dark Zone much more healthier, make Conflict much more healthier, and I really can't wait for this to go into effect. It's going to be massive for PvP, and yeah, just thank you to the devs for finally doing this, because we've been asking for a long time, and to see it finally coming is just really, really uplifting. But that is going to do it for me on this one, everybody. Again, not a super long video, not a ton to go over, but there were just, these things, again, Picaros, Strikers, Shrapnel Trapper, all things that people have been really hammering home, especially since PTS Phase 2. I mean, less so the Trap, because that's been a pre-existing issue, but especially the issues of Picaros and Strikers were things that people were really hung up on after the changes they got in Phase 2. And while I personally, like I said, have an issue with Picaros now, whereas I didn't before, even in Phase 1. I do think a lot of people are going to be happy with this change, and so I will be curious to hear your thoughts about it. But overall, these are some really big changes, some steps that I didn't see them taking, and they have taken them. And I think I'm even more excited for TU16 and Season 10 now than I was before. And I'm, just very, very anxious for this to go live so we can finally be free of the Shrapnel Trap plague and have some of this new stuff to try out that'll now be viable and strong. It's just great stuff all around, so I had to let you guys know about it. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe with notifications on to be updated every time I upload. Let me know your thoughts about all of these changes that are now coming to the game in hopefully less than a week, if TU16 still releases on Tuesday the 13th. Hopefully, because like I said, I'm very excited for this to go into effect specifically, but also all this other stuff and all the new gear and content that we have to check out. It's going to be a great time. And until then, of course, we have Ubisoft 4 tomorrow, talking more about Division 2 stuff, Heartland, all of that. It's just a great time to be a Division fan. And like I said, even though I wasn't planning on doing a video today, I couldn't help myself. This stuff I had to get out to you guys. So I very much hope you enjoyed. But that is going to do it for me today, everybody. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. And until the next one, guys, RogueGold